We are sitting up straight and ready to go. It's easy in these chairs during the break to, we just sit back and we chat and we.
But last time we came up, I thought, gosh, I was taking a nap
That's
back
all.
here.
Now we're back. See how quickly we do that? Hey, everybody. Okay. Rhori Johnston here with John Navin on OpenLine. Our final full segment here. We got another 10, 12 minutes or so if you'd like to call in. We had a great call from Gay up in Cadiz, Kentucky, and she's going to call John and get the information she needs. 737+ if you'd like to call in as we continue to talk about these 6 retirement habits that you want folks to establish. So we've talked about the vision and planning for a long life. Number 3 on the list is make your health your first priority now, obviously.
Make health a priority. I read recently how we, in the early years we risk all of our health to make money, and then the later years we spend all of our money to get our health back. So, as you know, our whole philosophy is, again, to have this balance. And so we're trying to do some fun stuff to help folks stay healthy, keep healthy. As you know, we do triathlons. I do triathlons, and so we're doing crazy stuff all the time. And it's fun to look at clients that we're starting to attract now. Health is becoming the buzz. So it's much more about getting out and staying active, being fit. And for some people, you talk about fear of taking the first step. I'm not talking about going out and running a 5K. I'm talking about standing up during the commercials. So when the commercials come on, put the clicker down and just stand up. Anything you do to work on your health is going to benefit you later, because we're going to be around. Yeah. I think some of the costs that we look at when it comes to retirement income planning, you're going to spend money on healthcare, because with the the Healthcare Reform Act and some of the things that are changing, that number is going to become greater. There's another statistic. The odds are 1 in 2 that you're going to need some type of long-term care assistance when you get older. So those add up to big numbers. $5,000 a month. So some of these, there's things you can do and there's steps you can take. Of course, there's new tools available, but first and foremost, make your health a priority.
Okay, let's go on to the next, and that is build your network. Build your network. Not net worth, which of course we want to do, but build your network.
We can do that though too. Yeah. The network, when I talk about network, aside from just the people you surround yourself with, you don't want to go it alone, but you also want to create a plan. Right. And so this is, when we're talking about building a network, the plan is part of that network. So most people I see do not have a written income plan. They don't have a written retirement plan. They don't have a written financial plan. So they're on a hope and a prayer, where we want to make sure that we say, okay, aside from having this plan, we know what the course of action is. We also want to surround ourselves with good people. So
you're talking just friends, or you're talking people like you and an accounnt and an insurance agent and that group?
Yeah, and
a lawyer,
a spiritual leader, and a lawyer, maybe a fitness coach, but just some people that you can rely on and depend upon. But now you did mention something, as long as we have a couple of minutes. Community actually will increase your longevity longer. So there's my wife is reading a book right now, and it's all about where people live the longest and how they're living, and what they're eating and what they're doing, and really they're eating right, of course, but it's a sense of community and who you hang around with and good friends. And that's also an adjustment after you retire. Folks don't think of that either. Now look at me, I'm throwing a bunch of points in on the same thing. You've got to have this good network of people.
Cultivating relationships but you're right. Going back to that, there are these concentrations of people around the world that they're studying now, where they're living, past 100, and living pretty healthy too, which is remarkable.
Well, I wrote down 115. I was asked in a mastermind group a while ago. They said, "Okay, if you could pick the age you want to pass away, what would you pick?" I said, "I'm going to be 115." I mean, if you have money and you have your health, why not go to 115?
Really, and it's amazing what the future could hold and how long we're going to live. Okay, so we got build your network. We go on to establish your legacy.
Establish your legacy.
This is a nice thing to think about.
It is. It is.
Leaving something behind.
Leaving something behind, and aside from just your couch and your old books, but what do you? This helps people almost look at their purpose. So when we sit down and we say that first question, or the first point that we talk about, is figuring out what you want or what's your vision for the future. Sometimes if you start with the end in mind, it will drive what the vision looks like. So if you said, okay, my legacy is to, and it doesn't mean leave a foundation or leave something, it might just be getting your kids financially sound. It might be doing something in the community. It could be anything. But now what will happen is that legacy, or that thought process, if you want to use the word legacy, that's great, you can intermix a bunch of words, but will drive your actions now. So if we think about what the big picture is and work backwards, we can leave something for the next generation. From a wealth standpoint, that's where the true wealth comes from. When you talk about Kennedys, Rockefellers, some of these famous names that we all know, it wasn't because they thought of the next Google and they invented it. It was because they created wealth and they didn't spend it all. And they passed it on, and they passed it on. And there's a lot of neat things you can do to pass wealth on to the next generations and teach them. Yeah. So, unfortunately,
I tell people all the time here in Nashville, I do so much nonprofit work and fundraisers, and we have this class warfare kind of thing, but I tell you what, whatever you think, some of the wealthiest families in this town, which you go over to the art museum or the Schermerhorn or even the children's theater and places like that, and there's usually a wall of donors. These places, the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, wall of donors, you'll start seeing recurring names. These big families that have a lot of money have contributed so much. And every time I go to a fundraiser, they're the first to throw out $3,000, $5,000 on silent auctions, this and that. It's important, and what a great legacy they leave, right?
Well, and I think wealthy is not, we're building wealth, and we want wealth to definitely be a term that we use. But I want people to realize wealth is not just your balance sheet. Wealth is one piece of your balance sheet. It's your whole life. What do you really do? I mean, that is an old saying, the wealthiest person is not the person who has the most, but the person who needs the least. So if you are fulfilled in so many other areas, that's wealthy. Now you need money. So I'm not trying to say, because if you don't have money, then you're struggling. So
no doubt. All right, number 6 on the list is reassess regularly. It's not a set it and forget it.
No, we want to create the plan.
Oven, right? Set it and forget it.
I remember that. That was the infomercial.
You have to routine maintenance, right?
Because what happens is, you mentioned something earlier about getting older. Each year you're getting older. Each year some goals are going to change. You're going to achieve some goals. You're going to have new things that come into the picture, and you want to be planning for those. So it's all a matter of setting the plan and getting the plan in motion, but then coming back and tweaking it. And from a financial standpoint, it may be looking at some new opportunities that may be in the market that weren't in the market 10 years ago.
Why is tax time a good time to do this and to kind of reassess? And
perfect time, because all your stuff's out. You have all your statements.
The shoebox is out.
The shoebox is opened. And so you can look and see everything. Another good time is the end of the year. So you're coming on it right now. So if you haven't taken any action or done anything, now is the time to step, because you can make changes before the end of the year. There's some tax breaks now that are going away. I mentioned taxes that are going away at the end of the year. And there's some changes you can make that could impact your portfolio. So end of the year is a great time. Tax times, it carries through for the next 6 months probably.
I have my meeting scheduled next week.
Good.
With my advisor. Are you proud of me?
I'm proud of you.
You've inspired me.
Good.
Absolutely. Got to take some action. It really is amazing how fast the year goes by and how busy you can get, and knowing that you have someone kind of in your corner working for you. How many times a year should you meet with your advisor? Does it depend on?
It depends on
your portfolio
size, probably, and what you have going on and what's happening. We typically meet with clients 4 times a year. Some clients say, I don't need 4, I need 2, or I need 1. It just depends on, again, what's happening in their life and where they are. Their risk tolerance would probably be something else that drives how often you meet. I mean, if they're more of a aggressive investor, we probably want to come together a little bit more often and take a look and see what things are doing and where they are. But at least 4 times a year. Right. I should say at least 2, but 4 is optimal.
What do you say to perhaps a client who's really wanting to be high risk, saying I want to be as aggressive as possible. Obviously, there's a catch with that. Is that you're
all right,
it's a higher risk.
I would say don't do it.
Really?
No, because first of all, that feeling of euphoria does not last near as long as that feeling of regret. And that's a proven study psychologically, that when we choose something and it goes south, then we beat ourselves up naturally for a longer period of time than if we pick the right investment and we're aggressive and it goes up. I think you can do it within your risk tolerance. I think you can be aggressive once you've set a plan in motion for what your income looks like. I think you can be more aggressive if your time horizon is longer. If you don't need or care about the money, you can definitely be more aggressive because you won't have an emotional attachment to it.
Right.
So if there's a guy that's got a couple $1 million, $3 million that comes in and sits down and says, I want to be aggressive as I can with $500,000, perfect. Be aggressive with $3 million? I've never seen it. So I don't. It hasn't happened because you many times you sat here, and I'll use you, day after day, week after week, to accumulate what you have.
Right.
And to see it go like that, no, don't do it.
Okay, good advice.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're going to take our final break, and just a reminder, when we come back, we're going to wrap it up. Have pen and paper ready. Write down John Navin's phone number, his website, and we'll talk real quick about that offer that he is making for you, the viewers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Monday Night Open Line will wrap up right after this, and we got a special sports line coming up after this, so stick around. Stay with us.